Hello, welcome to Monday, second week of our class. Can you believe we already breezed in through it? A couple of things. You got a little break on Friday. This computer that I'm doing this on is really held together by baling wire and duct tape, and I could not get the video to work when I was finishing up Friday's lecture. So we got a little lucky and we didn't have a part two. So I'm going to put that today and I'm going to try to make up some time today. So a couple things. Hope you've already watched the video about Facebook. That's going to be part of your first written assignment, which is worth 20 points. We'll have 5 written assignments, total worth 100 points. So each one worth 20 um, will be will add up to your 100 points. So if you don't do one, the best you can get is 80 out of 100. So you can see how that affects. So turn it in. Really, I'm just looking for some thought, some critical analysis, some thinking, and as long as your spelling and grammar is somewhat in the ballpark, we'll be good on the grading. You'll generally get a 17, 18, 19, or 20 on that. And I'll put just a little comment about your grade in that as well. So today what we're going to do, and this is part two, so make sure you watch part one, is watch the video on Facebook if you haven't watched it. Then we'll do this lecture, and then you'll have the written assignment, which is due by Wednesday at 5. And then also we'll do a discussion board. I want you to talk about emotional intelligence. And it was interesting. One of you, I can't remember which one, I apologize, put it in your talking about bad bosses. You had a boss who didn't have empathy. And I thought that was really an awesome comment because it's something we're going to talk about today in emotional intelligence. We'll get that to a minute. But let's go back to where we were about ethics and just finish up. Want to look at something on ethical codes. Ethical codes of conduct and mission statements are ways that companies publicly define their business values. Here at Texas Tech Athletics, our ethical code starts with one thing: do the right thing. Do the right thing is our number one ethical code. Uh, those are generally written statements that you give out to your organization and people that work here, and people know, okay, this is what we're about here as a company. You don't have to know any of these. This is just showing that most of the electronic media outlets have some type of organization or something that they're a part of that helps define. Remember, we talked about on Friday that you do a lot of things for your colleagues because we're all in this together as far as a business goes. And these are some of the reasons why you have these different organizations. So a mission statement basically just identifies an organization's purpose and values, why you're here, what you're doing. Our purpose, mission statement at Texas Tech is to educate, serve, and grow fearless champions. Just saying what you're doing. You've got student athletes coming in. Your job is to educate them and move them on. And then fearless champions means you also want to win. So basically, it's something that the public sees that describe the values of what you're doing as an organization. Some companies have them, some don't. There was a time in the early 2000s when that became kind of the big deal to do, to write out mission statements. It defines your purpose. It focuses on what you do. It responds to your various publics that you have. And again, it provides a direction for making decisions. And sometimes, this is true, it energizes all of the employees. So it's there's many things that are valuable about a mission statement. Just dealing in media management, when you're dealing in media, just a few things you want to think about is that you're serving the market. There's a public interest that you've got. You've got to meet your obligations to the owner of the business, stockholders of the business. You want to be profitable. And sometimes it can be hard to do that at the same time. So you have to balance those things out. Sometimes there's controversies over programming. Do we show the show? Do we? Yeah, I talked about that on Friday in a show that I had years ago. There was a cop show called NYPD Blue, and there was quite a bit of debate over who was going to carry it and who wasn't going to carry it. And because some stations didn't carry it because they showed a guy's rear end. That almost seems commonplace now, but it just goes to show you there's some There's some controversies over that. Look at that. I've got a driver update. I'll just get rid of that. Goodness gracious. See, this is the problem with this computer. Maybe it's because I'm not updating it. When you're dealing in news, we're going through this right now. We're in the heart of this. Truth and accuracy. Trust establishes trust, credibility, and integrity among media institutions. Not staging news events, fake news, those kind of things. There's a lot of talk now about fake news. And look, places like the New York Times and CNN, the Washington Post, those are not fake news. Those are news organizations trying to do their jobs. Can they be biased at times? Perhaps. Do they get things wrong at times? Perhaps. But they do attempt to have truth and accuracy in what they're doing. Questions of privacy. I'm not sure why the Kobe Bryant thing's on. That was a long time ago. But, you write about, you publish a victim's name in something, and you have to decide what are the issues here and who can be talked about and who can't. So it's privacy issues. Sometimes there's a conflict of interest. There'll be sometimes a news organization will be offered things. If you come out and cover a story on here, hey, come out to SeaWorld and we'll give every one of your employees a free entrance into SeaWorld. So there's a conflict of interest there, because then how do you tell the story? If you've got a big advertiser of your station, and then something happens at that station, or something happens at that advertiser rather, does your news station cover it? So those are things that are important to look at. Confidentiality of sources. There are shield laws that protect reporters from having to reveal the names of their sources. So you want to look into that. You want to make sure that you are abiding by your word and also doing the right thing. Again, there's pressure sometimes from advertisers. Dateline did a story on GM trucks. GM was a major NBC advertiser, and Dateline had to deal with that, right? And NBC had to deal with that to say, do we go over this? Do we deal with this? Do we not show the story? So it was an important thing from a standpoint to say, yes, we are going to go with this story. We are going to cover it. And then in sales, you've got sales, right? So you've got accountability to your audience of what type of advertising you're going to put out there. You have your conscience as far as, are you doing the right thing? Are you not taking money under the table from a business? Commercial media deals with this a lot of times about how all that works. And hey, I'm going to accept something for free from an advertiser, or I'm going to allow them some kind of a business deal, and I'm going to take something from it. You have a responsibility to your customers, your advertisers. You don't tell, if you sell a car dealership an ad, you don't go to another car dealership and say, hey, this is what this guy's paying. You have some sort of responsibility to that customer. And then to your company, you work for the company in the sales perspective. You make the best deal for your company and you make it work from there. So those are some issues. Again, these are interesting things. We have these deals throughout the book, the 5 C's, the 7 C's, the 7 F's, whatever. No one's going to ask you those things in a sales situation. But if you understand those, just that you've got an audience, you've got an advertiser, you're dealing with commercial media, you have a conscience, you hope, and you're responsible to your company. Sometimes a company, if they go through a decision like this, we saw Starbucks go through this, right? Ethical decision in electronic media be complicated, and so you might try to implement an ethics program. So Starbucks went through this when they had the incident where the 2 African American males were probably targeted coming into the Target. I said Target, Starbucks in I believe it was in Philadelphia. And so they implemented a program throughout all the Starbucks to try to deal with things like that. And if you adopt a plan to help you guide through these dilemmas, at least then you're trying to deal with them better than maybe some others. Whenever you're trying to do, I would say this, whenever you're doing anything, ethics organizations should do 4 things. State the mission. What are we trying to accomplish? Clarify what our values are. Then you can create your code and then you develop an ethics program. Basically, you say, here's what our mission is, here's what our values are, here's the way we do things. And then the ethics program says if you can't abide and you don't want to abide, guess what? Other places for you to go work. So that's what you try to do to implement an ethics program. So that's it for ethics. And I tell you what, I've just thought about this as we're talking, because we do have the written assignment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save emotional intelligence for tomorrow. So we'll do that. We'll have that for tomorrow. So today you have to watch the Facebook video and finish up this video, and then go write your written assignment. And don't worry, I know this is a lot. I feel like when sometimes we're in the online environment, it's hard to connect a little bit about, are we making sense on these things? So what I want to make sure that we do is to know that before we have our first test, I'll try to tie this all together, and we'll have a good test review as well to make sure all that happens. So that's it for your Monday. Make sure you do your assignment. Because I'm giving you a little bit less here on this Monday, go ahead and get it done today. That way you don't have to worry about it. It's due Wednesday, because on Wednesday I'm going to give you another one that's due on Friday. So have a good